All right, so if you're watching this video, you probably have an FX30 like me, and you heard that there's this new software update that gives you all these cool features like shutter angle and other stuff. You went to Sony's website and you couldn't find it. So now you're here, just like I was, feeling like an idiot because you can't locate a download button for the software update for your camera. The truth is that Sony shit the bed. They had to recall the software update because it started breaking people's cameras. People's FX30s were not turning on, which is obviously a huge issue. You don't want your expensive camera that you use for work, your livelihood, to not work. So we're gonna switch to the FX30 right now so I can test out my new lens, this Sniper 60mm f1.2, and I'll give you the details on when maybe we'll get that update, what went wrong, and maybe some alternatives to FX30 if you haven't purchased yet. Maybe you're just watching this video and you're kind of sick of Sony dropping the ball on so many things, like not giving us open gate and other cool features that other manufacturers have. So yeah, let's get into it. All right, so the first half of that video I shot with my Sony ZV-1. I love this camera. I use it every day for top-down shots, for B-roll. This thing's amazing. But yeah, I just want to let you know that because you're comparing the image. It's an unfair comparison because this is the Sony FX30 with the Sniper 16mm f1.2. I just picked this lens up. I'm testing it. I have a review on my channel about this. This technically should have been the best lens that you can use to pair with your APS-C Sony FX30 camera, but it's got some flaws. You can watch that video if you want. We're here to talk about the software update. So essentially what happened is that Sony released the software update for the Sony FX30 and a couple people downloaded it, installed it, and it started breaking their cameras. Their cameras were unresponsive. They weren't turning on. Some people reported that they weren't able to film in 4K, even though they were doing it previously with their existing SD card. Now they had to get a CF Express card, and that's an issue. And it's kind of an embarrassing issue on multiple fronts because Sony's a billion-dollar company. They should know how to roll out a software update that works for their cameras. On top of that, the features that they're giving us were shutter angle, some other things. I'm not looking into it because I'm a YouTuber sitting in my room recording videos on this FX30. I'm not doing crazy cinematic stuff on there. So if you want somebody who's reviewing the cinematic capabilities of the FX30, that's not me. I'm just a daily user who needs a reliable camera for pumping out videos on this channel. I mean, I do use this camera outside to shoot other types of work, professional creative advertisement work, but that's not here or there. A lot of the work that I do is more simplified. I'm yapping. It's for the watch times. The truth is that maybe you're like me and I'm kind of disappointed with the route that Sony's taking on their cameras. I'm looking at the competitors like the Panasonic S5 II or the S5 II, the S9, the Fuji XH2S. They have open gate. They have open gate light capabilities. They have amazing stabilization. There's so many features that Sony is just holding back from us, the users, and we pay a lot of money for these cameras. There's a significant markup in price just to pay for the Sony badge and a significant decrease in features when it comes to the cameras. And I'm not kidding either. Like, look at the prices. You can buy a used S5 II for about 1,500 bucks, which is the same price as a Sony FX30. And that thing is full frame. It does open gate. It's going to look better. Now, of course, a lot of people are going to say the tired old thing. Oh, Sony's got really good autofocus, better autofocus. And yeah, but with the last update that Panasonic did, it's almost equal. It's vastly improved. The next thing people might bring up is that the lens selection isn't as good on the Panasonic system, and that's not really true. When it comes to lenses, you don't need 10,000 different options. You just need your main staple option lenses, and Panasonic definitely has specifically designed video-centric lenses like an 18mm, a 24mm, I think a 35 and a 50 that are specifically designed to have no focus breathing, and they're f1.8, which is what more can you ask for if you want that prime setup. And they have some legit third-party zoom lenses as well that compete with Sony. So realistically, when you look at it, you're paying more for less sticking with Sony, and now you have the potential of breaking your camera. Now, is this going to piss Sony off and they're never going to send me a camera or invite me somewhere? Who knows? I don't care because I'd rather be honest with you guys. You guys coming back to this channel is more valuable than me getting sent a camera that I don't want and wouldn't use anyway. So that brings me to my point and probably the question you're asking: what are the alternatives to the Sony FX30 that are worth picking up? I personally am in between cameras right now. I'm trying to decide if I want to go with Panasonic, if I want to go with a Sony, or if I want to go with Canon, because Canon has some attractive pricing right now because they're super slept on. And it's a tough conclusion to make because the camera that I'm getting is a camera that's going to influence my channel for the next 2 years, 3 years. I'm going to be making content on that camera for that camera manufacturer, whether I know it willingly or unwillingly or not. That's reality. I'm kind of committing to being locked into a system, which is super frustrating. A lot of people get to the point where they're like, if I can only have one camera and start from scratch right now, I didn't have all these lenses, I didn't have all this gear, I didn't have all this supplemental equipment, what would I get? And the truth is that if you're doing what I'm doing right now, which is talking to camera, and you want the highest quality image, best bang for buck, it would be the Panasonic S9 II. that's the camera you should get. That's the camera I would get. I would get that with the 24mm f1.8 lens, and I would be Gucci. I would not worry about anything else when it came to cameras. I still would keep my Sony ZV-1 for my top-down shots just because this thing is so lightweight and versatile. It shoots really good 4K. I put this on f4 and everything looks good for my top-down shots and my B-roll as well, the stabilization. So I would never really get rid of Sony. I would just pick up a ZV-1, not the ZV-1 Mark II, a Panasonic S5 Mark II, and a Sony ZV-1, and that is good for my studio work. I would never need another camera again, especially because open gate on the S5 II is amazing. S5 IIX is kind of overkill unless you need some kind of streaming capabilities is my understanding of that. I'll skip that one. And I might still pull the trigger on that setup. Now, when it comes to having a camera for content outside, the solution that kind of makes sense if you're trying to vlog and do day in the lifestyle stuff, which is more short form, I believe, is the Panasonic S9. That camera is small, lightweight. You pair that with the Sigma 16 to 28mm f2.8 and you're good. You can cover everything you need to do, especially with that digital crop that they have, which makes it almost like an 100 something millimeter. It's stupid. The problem is that buying that camera when it has limited record times makes me worry. It makes me worry that I'm going to get selfie camera and I'm going to need a longer record time and it's going to be a headache to like start and stop. Like right now, this is a 7-minute video that I'm waffling, dragging out. But I think I only have 10 minutes with 4K recording on the S9. So that is a limitation, which is why I'm kind of leaning in a different direction. I think I want to go all out and just get a Canon R8 with a 15 to 35mm f2.8 because that camera and that lens is all one and done. Yes, it's a bigger, bulkier camera, but I went to the B&H and I played with that setup and it was so nice and so convenient to hold. I'm not weak. I go to the gym. I lift. So a 2 pound, 3 pound camera is nothing to me. Obviously something like this is better, but the image quality and the stabilization that I get off of this is limited. The Canon R8, even though it's got a honking lens, massive lens, and is more of a pain to lug around, it has status, and carrying around that, people know what you're doing. They know that you're making content, and that kind of has its own pros and cons. So yeah, let's wrap this up. I know this video is about the Sony FX30 firmware, but I honestly just want to take this time to test out this sniper lens, see if I like it or not. The focus is decent, but the minimum focusing distance is problematic. It's in my video. Check out my channel. Hopefully I answer some of your questions. Leave any questions you have in the comments below. I respond to 70% of the questions you guys leave, as long as they're intelligent ones. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out my other videos about tech gear. You might find something interesting there. Let's get the watch thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one.